What's going on, everybody? It's the Bulls Show, aka Aiden, and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, this video is a Chicago Bulls weekly video to provide for you guys as we look forward to a jam-packed upcoming week for the Chicago Bulls, while also talking about a fairly quiet previous week for the Chicago Bulls overall, but still a good week to talk about nonetheless. But before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Bulls Show, turn notifications on, and let me know in the comments below your thoughts about the Chicago Bulls and what do you expect from the next upcoming week from them as we return to Chicago. We obviously have a few away games as well to discuss. There is a lot to get through in that avenue. But looking at the previous week for the Chicago Bulls, we had two games to look forward to and we ended up going 2-0. For most people, that was kind of expected. Again, no disrespect to the Warriors here, but they're the reigning champions, but they're also playing at a 500 level, and they're kind of making themselves lose some games in many ways. They've got some stuff to get through, and I have no doubts about it that they will. But also, you had the Detroit Pistons in Paris. You're expecting the morale to be very high. We walked away in Chicago with a win. We travel over to Paris. Obviously, vibes are very good. Team getting a little bit closer. It's also a good interview, some positive vibes. Even, Derrick Jones Jr. got engaged. Congratulations to him again, third time in a row. But I've said that. But anyway, and yeah, the vibes were positive, and we pretty much came out with a convincing win against the Detroit Pistons as well. So overall, not really too much to say about it. But looking at the scores of this game, obviously for the Bulls and the Warriors, we won this game 132 to 118. Again, the Warriors side of things, a lot of traveling violations, palming violations, moving screens, and just terrible turnovers that resulted in the Bulls capitalizing on it. And that's been the story with the Warriors all season, realistically. But you expect towards the second half of the season, they will have a lot of their, I guess, issues cleared up. They play a very unique style of basketball. No one can really match the way that they play. So they have to figure it out. It might take a little bit more time, but I think they'll get there at the end of the day. When the playoffs come around, they will always be a threat, in my opinion, at least if they can make it there, that is. Moving into the next game against the Detroit Pistons in Paris, we won this game 126 to 108. Look, I really thought our offense was good all night. Defensively, I thought there were some issues, consistency issues at least, but even our defense, I thought it was very, very solid in that game. And with all that being said, it's time to move into the awards of the week that we usually give out. So of course, the awards that we give out, the must improve of the week, the sixth man of the week, the player of the week, and the defensive player of the week. There's 4 awards that we could give out here, ladies and gentlemen. And moving into that must improve of the week, this is actually a very difficult one to give, because usually, again, I just feel like it's easier to give to some players, like for an example, an Andre Drummond, because I know when he's playing badly, Billy Donovan just simply doesn't play him. But I think in both games, for the Warriors and for the Detroit Pistons, he didn't play. So you have to look towards other guys. And honestly, there's not too much to give here. If I had to pick, I would probably pick Goran Dragic, just for the fact that maybe he's been a little bit off in the last 2 games, or at least the games against the Pistons. But again, I'm really picking at straws here. There's not too much to say about the must improve conversation. You could easily just say, let's not give the must improve. But I genuinely feel like I say that all the time. Let's not give a must improve. Let's not give a must improve. The Bulls are still below 500. There's obviously still a lot to work on this team. So that's where my approach will go with in this timeout. My sixth man of the week, that's very interesting as well. There are 3 candidates you can really give this to. Obviously, Coby White, who's won it in the last 2 weeks. I think he's definitely in conversation for this week as well. Derrick Jones Jr., I thought had a tremendous game against Detroit. And Alex Caruso. But I believe in one of the games he actually started, so I wouldn't necessarily give that to him. So I think who I'd give it to is, once again, Coby White, the scorer of the team. A very solid defensive week as well for him. I don't think he had his best game against Detroit, but he still managed to pop up with 10 very good points that we needed at the time. So I would say it would be Coby White and Derrick Jones. Those are the ones I would really consider for it. Again, it's been those 2 for a long time now. They've been competing for that award every single week. So fair play to both of them. I think they're both having outstanding seasons at the moment. I think they're both playing better than last season realistically. And I've enjoyed how our bench has played with both of them in it. Now, Derrick Jones, I still want him as a power forward. I'm not going to change my mind on that. it's going to take a long time of actually us having good leads and gaining leads with small ball for me to believe that. But I still think there's too many problems unless you go and get a small ball center, a proper small ball center out there, and let Derrick Jones play where he does play his best basketball, in my opinion, and that's in the forward positions. But nonetheless, beggars can't be choosers. I'm not going to complain when we have 2-0, and obviously Derrick Jones has been the backup center for some of those minutes. The defensive player of the week, I think this is a very straightforward one. It would still be Alex Caruso. The only reason why Alex Caruso is not sixth man of the week, realistically, is because he started one game, but his offense is still a little bit up and down, and that is where both sides of the coin have to come. You have to play solid offense, but also play really good defense as well. His game against the Warriors as a starter was unbelievable. He almost got a triple-double. He was literally everywhere. He was in contention of the player of the game if it wasn't for Vucevic's outstanding performance. But the game against Detroit, don't think he had that same impact offensively, but defensively he was still really up there, doing absolutely everything for this team. And stats don't lie. Yes, stats don't tell the whole story, but look at his stats. I'm sure you can understand why he's going for the Defensive Player of the Week award this time out as well. The second week in a row he's able to win it. The Player of the Week, this one is extremely difficult to give. How could I completely ignore Nikola Vucevic's 43-point performance in that game against the Warriors? How can I simply ignore that? But at the same time, if you're looking at a consistency barrier, Zach LaVine had a 30-point game against the Detroit Pistons, and I believe he also had a 20-plus point game against the Golden State Warriors. So what can I do here? I'm going to be as unbiased as I possibly can. I think the player of the week should go to Nikola Vucevic as the center of this team. Zach LaVine has probably been more consistent. I understand that, but it's only been 2 games. Vucevic got his career high this week. He got his season high for obviously the season high. If he got a career high, that would make sense as well. But he also got the most points he's ever scored for the Bulls this week. That's really, and it was just close to a perfect performance in every single way. So I think that game, plus he had a 15 and 16 night against Detroit, I think that's the easy choice to go to. My player of the week would be Nikola Vucevic, but not far behind him is Zach LaVine. I think I need to make that as clear as possible. And with all that being said, all the awards given, ladies and gentlemen, we now turn our heads into the upcoming week. And it is jam-packed with games. We've got 4 games to look forward to this week. We've got a back-to-back as well to worry about straight off the get-go, with our first game coming against the Atlanta Hawks. Again, we've had some fantastic games with Atlanta this season, just this season alone, not to mention previous years as well. The first game was an overtime thriller in which Atlanta got the best of us by an inbound play. The second game came from an Ayo Dosunmu buzzer beater that sends us home. We were celebrating over John Collins in that game. Remember that night very fondly. And now it's time for round 3. It's time for the best, I guess, of the best. This is really where our best games come from. The most exciting games, in my opinion, this season has been between the Bulls and the Atlanta Hawks, at least from our season at least. There's not many games to get better than what we see with Atlanta. So I'd like to see us walk away with a win in this time out. But then we got our back-to-back, traveling to Indiana to face the Indiana Pacers. Indiana, I think, are not as bad as people might perceive them to be. But last time we did versus Indiana, I think we blew them out, if I'm not mistaken. So when it comes to Indiana, I personally think that is probably a really tough game for us. Again, they're sitting 9th and we're sitting 10th. We're not far away from each other whatsoever. But yeah, from the Bulls side of things, you obviously have that confidence that you've beaten them before. But again, a second night of a back-to-back, the energy and maybe even the jet lag of this team could still play a factor in these games. You just don't know what type of energy levels the Bulls will show up with. Not to mention they're extremely inconsistent anyway. So I would say that's a very difficult game for us to walk away with a win from. Then we go away from home and we verse the Charlotte Hornets. This is obviously a game, I'm completely surprised with where Charlotte is at the moment. I can't believe that Charlotte is all the way really 14th in the East. I mean, they were a play-in team last season. They were a play-in team 2 seasons ago. Yes, I understand the whole situation behind their team as well. Some of their guys getting suspended and whatnot. I get that, but man, I just thought they'd be better than what they currently are, but it is what it is. That's a game against Charlotte. You expect the Bulls to win that game, but again, knowing where the Bulls currently are at the moment, knowing that they do lose to some of these teams that are not doing the best at the moment in terms of their own season, I mean, it speaks for itself. That's definitely a game to be fearful of. And then we got the last game of the week against the Orlando Magic away from home. this is definitely not an easier game either. Last time we versed Orlando, I think we lost them by a buzzer beater by Jalen Suggs, and they also didn't have their best player and their rookie. So at the end of the day, that's a very hard game for the Bulls. I have to say it. Teams that play hard like Orlando do, they play extremely hard. They're a hustle team. They're going to be very gritty on the defensive end, especially with the amount of centers that they have on that team. It's not an easy game for the Bulls, I should say. So I'm hoping the Bulls have enough to win that game. Again, you gotta avenge that loss. That's a buzzer beater loss, a heartbreaker of a loss. You have to try and avenge it. And Orlando is another team, young, upcoming team, bright future ahead of them, but they're not on the Chicago Bulls level this season. You gotta prove that. And the more that we lose to them, the more that you disprove that. So let's hope that we don't disprove that. There was at one point in the season where Orlando did have a better record than the Chicago Bulls. And looking where they are now, they are 13th in the Eastern Conference. So again, there's opportunities here for the Bulls. But we've seen it already. We can waste opportunities as easily as we pick up games where we simply feel like we don't stand a chance. So we've got to make sure we find that balance. And that balance is to beat the good teams and beat the bad teams. That's what good teams should do. But right now, I think we're a 500 team that has a 500 level expectations. That's kind of what I feel about this team. So we've got to try and break out of that, or we're going to have to revert back to what we are, and that's just inconsistent Chicago Bulls. And maybe Bulls fans will just have to accept we're not as good as we think we are. Or some people have already come to that realization anyway. But again, I don't think it's over yet for this team. We'll have to wait and see. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're new. Let me know in the comments below if you enjoy Bulls Weekly. Most likely the video that comes out tomorrow is the Bulls injury update, assuming that there is any more injury updates to provide ahead of our next game against Atlanta. But whatever the case may be, I'll see you in the next Chicago Bulls video. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay tuned for more. Take care.